the recording. Right. Um, so what we are going to do today is explore and try and understand um, open learning or unschooling or homeschooling, home education, free learning. These are just many terms that are used. And I'm sure for some of us, these terms itself can be confusing. We'll come to that in a little while. Um, the whole idea of uh, doing the session for today is that we share. So it's not that I am here to tell you what all of this is. The idea is that we actually co-create this understanding. We learn from each other, and in some ways, coming together, we also support each other in this journey. Um much similar to what I understand unschooling or open learning is. In some ways, when we take a decision to, let's say, not go to school, we are saying that okay, we can with our children co-create, co-learn, co-support, and co-live. So much as how we would do with children, let us try and do the same thing um, in this session. It's kind of mimic the same thing. Um, so that's so. Hope you are game for that. So I would be seeking a lot of interaction from all of you. The way I have formatted this session is that I've put, you can call them as 8 questions or 8 categories. Um, they are there on the screen now, and we will all share our views on each of these. So we'll go through one by one. Um, I hope you can all see the screen and see the questions. In any ways, let me quickly read them out. Uh, the 8 questions or 8 categories. The first one is why open learning or unschooling, homeschooling. Second is what learning, what child learns, what curriculum, what skills the child develops. Third is what resources, people, support, exposure, places can we use, or how do we get them. The fourth one is what schedule do we follow, what kind of learning plan, what kind of environment we create for that. Fifth question, which has quite a bit of questions in the form that you filled up, is what kind of exams the child can give if the child wants to give an exam, what kind of boards, colleges, what kind of jobs can the child uh, hope to get into. So this had a lot of inquiries, so I'm sure this would take some time. We'll also talk about what kind of social skills, self skills, life skills, how do we develop these in the scenario of unschooling or homeschooling. Seventh one would be what could be my role as a facilitator. Uh, how much time do I need to put in? Can I do it while both parents are working? What kind of expertise do I need, and so on. And lastly, if are there any specific challenges people have faced or they think they will face, and what kind of opportunities they see, and any specific suggestions people have. So I'm hoping that in this group there are people who are uh, already doing unschooling or homeschooling, people who are wanting to do, people who are thinking about it or just curious about it. So I'm assuming there is a good mix of participants here, which is what will make the session interesting. Yeah, so we'll cover each one of these. So one request is that hold on, if your question pertains to another category or another question, just, so hold it on till that comes. So we'll ensure we cover all the 8, and I'm kind of assuming everything is covered within that. In any case, whatever is not covered in the first 7 can go into the 8th one, which is more like a open category, any issues or any aspects which we haven't discussed. Yeah, so you think it's good, and we can just share these thoughts. So just give me a quick yes in the chat window or a Y in the chat window if you are kind of in sync with this format. And as I said, it's a very participative format. You have to share your thoughts. Some of you might say, oh, I don't have much idea about homeschooling or unschooling. I would say still, but whatever your idea is, you share from your perspective. So that's okay, even if you haven't done it, but you will have some ideas, and that's good. I just wanted to start off with one slide just to put to rest these terms. Now, there are lots of these terms. What does open learning? How is it different from unschooling, homeschooling, home education, open learning, free schooling, and so on? So the obvious first request is that don't get locked up in the terms. The terms by themselves don't mean anything. What is important is to look at this continuum. At one end is how typically the school operates, which is very structured, it's curriculum driven, and there isn't really much choice the child has, at least within the school. Obviously, extracurricular, the child still have choices. So that's one extreme. And the other extreme is there is no structure, no curriculum, completely open, and the child completely chooses. And we can be anywhere within this continuum at different points of our journey with our child. It need not be that you have to be totally open or totally structured. You can be anywhere in between or anywhere on the extremes also. And this may also change as time goes on, as child grows and child needs changes. So that's that. So let's not get caught up in these terms, because some people say no, homeschooling is when you have a curriculum, unschooling is when you don't have a curriculum, and all that. But it doesn't matter what term we use. It just doesn't matter, isn't it? So let's not get into these terms. As of now, we'll just use, for simplicity, we'll just use the term open learning, which itself means that there's open to how the child learns, whether the child learns structured or child learns unstructured. Let us leave that that whole aspect aside. Yeah. Okay. Also, the whole idea of we could be anywhere in our journey on any aspect of our on this continuum. We could be anywhere on this continuum, and as it's an ongoing journey. One more point that I want to emphasize is that each child is unique, each family is unique. So there isn't a formula that we are looking here. I'm sure all of us have just come to understand, rather than looking for okay, you tell me, I will follow this or I will do the same. So there isn't really while we can learn from each other, there isn't no need to do what others are doing, or there is no gospel truth, because each child, as I said, we all know, is unique. Each family is unique, and so on. So let's keep that very open, and with that understanding, let's go on. Let's move on to the first one. Yeah. Okay. So the first question is why. And you can share on mic, you can share on chat, and what I will try to do is I'll try to put it down. Why would somebody like to do open learning or unschooling? So yeah, please share your thoughts. It could be the reason why you have chosen or you are wanting to do. Yeah, please share, so we get to see what different people are looking at. Yeah.
So what I have learned from my kids, I'm homeschooling currently 3 boys, that they have incredible amount of energy and, hunger to learn things on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But sending them to school and, putting them through a structured education system, it's actually killing their creativity all the way.
Okay.
And I realized that very early, and I started doing my own research on homeschooling initially. Then I got the fancy word, as you said, it really doesn't matter at the end of it whether you are unschooling or homeschooling.
Mm-hmm.
But would really love to explore, a co-platform where I can actually look at unschooling as an alternative.
Okay. So I picked up 2 keywords: energy, creativity.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Freedom for the child, independence. Yeah.
And most importantly for me, one size fits all doesn't work in schools.
Yeah. So which kind of captures in the freedom, because there's no one size fit all.
Yes, there's no one size.
I would like my kid to enjoy
Okay. Enjoy what? And
anything what she does. I don't
okay.
want her to restrict in anything.
Okay. So can I put it as enjoy life?
Yeah, that would. Yeah, I think that.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody's saying about Shraddha is saying about wide options to explore, and also practical knowledge. Okay. More thoughts. Why would we like to do it? Yeah, sure, Veena. Meaning we can come to that little later if that is something that you want to address. But if it is just part of the deal, yes, that family members may not agree to it. But still, what is our motivations? What is our driving force? Um, okay, somebody's saying keep away from rat race. Yeah, keep away from rat.
Well put. Yeah, keep away from the rat race. We're humans.
Right. So sort of why would you wish you were homeschooled? So that's the question we were asking.
Hi, Ratnesh.
Yeah, Gayatri.
Hi. So one of the main reasons would be to provide the child with a very open, non-threatening, put to any fear of saying you do this, or you don't do this. This is what happens. Or I think sadly many schools do that, where they kind of give they threaten the.
Sure. Yeah.
So this definitely unschooling or homeschooling, I think, an open environment for the child.
Sure. Okay, Haripriya is saying curiosity is not hindered. I think I've added that up there. More thoughts. What else could be the reason for doing this?
Absolute. One of the reasons is you save a lot of time for your child. Because otherwise they spend almost 8 hours in the school, a couple of hours going and coming back from school. If you're living in Bangalore, it could be a little more. If I'm staying in Mumbai, it's equally bad.
Right.
And then what do they do actually in the school is something what my kids can cover up the entire curriculum in a couple of months' time with just 1 hour of concentrated studies, and that's it. That's all is needed.
Yeah. I agree. And if you want, you can add to it, save a lot of money also.
Oh, that's the sweet. That's the sweetener. That's actually the sweetener. That's actually the icing on the cake.
Right. Let me
Me
put
boys, you don't know how much money I'm saving, and my wife is always looking at me. Yeah, let's go out.
that. Right. I also like Haripriya's point of somebody else also had put in practical knowledge, or you can be engaged with the real world. A lot of people who are thinking about or first time hearing about unschooling think that, okay, this is not real. So they say, okay, when will they meet the real world? I say daily. Yeah. So engage with real world is very important. In fact, I think the classroom is the artificial world. So,
For the newcomers who are very new to homeschooling, the first month is full of anxiety.
yeah.
Oh God, I have not woken up early today in the morning. My kid is going to not study anything. That that's the whole point. He doesn't. We don't want them to study. We just want them to take it easy. That's the reason why we do homeschool.
Okay. Okay, build confidence and life skills.
To empower the child.
Sure. Power the child.
Let them go with their natural instincts.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you very rightly put, these natural instincts can be very anxiety prone.
Yeah, the kids are like, I'm not going to school. And the parents are like, oh shit, he's not going to school. Now what am I going to do? So the first one is really the for us, at least as a family, the first one was really full of anxiety, because I stay with my parents, and for them it was like, oh God, your kids are not going to go to school now. What are you going to do?
Yeah. Okay. Somebody, okay, sorry, somebody's, your display name is coming as Redmi. If you can change that to your name, then we can address you with your name. Saying, yes, okay, the similar point to the real world, yes. So school kinds of quarantines them from real. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So Datraj is in a way saying the real world consists of people from different economic backgrounds, social backgrounds. So we can do that when we are not in schools. Okay. So yes, I think talking about it helps in finding myself. Right. Should I put it that way, Sujaya? Is it like finding oneself? Okay, that could be the other reason. Okay, dynamic thinking, not static knowledge.
And also taking action.
Sorry, your voice is breaking, Sujaya. Right.
Yeah,
So,
like finding our interest, we could take action in that particular domain.
right. So finding oneself, finding one's interest, is that what you're pointing at? Okay.
Taking things at their own pace.
Yeah. 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 Somebody else also talking about the hectic part of the school. So this can give them their own pace.
Yeah, it could be speed up also. It could be slowing down in a particular subject.
Right. Family can be partner.
Oh, this is so well thought of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This whole thing about everybody being part of the whole journey and being totally involved. Right. Responsibility. In fact, this is again a common concern that is said that, okay, how will the child learn how to take decision, become responsible? But the very act of pulling out of the school, now there's no other option. You have to take responsibility. The child has to take responsibility of himself or herself. Right, wide exposure. Yeah, yeah. You have no limit to what you can get exposed to. Yeah, responsibility, no blame game. Yeah, you can't blame anybody now. You are on your own. Okay, Saurabh is saying unnecessary competition. Right.
It's the rat race.
Yeah, the rat race part. Yes. Okay.
Self-awareness.
Yeah, it brings self-awareness. Yes. Shall I put that? Responsibility, self-awareness, and a whole lot of other self skills or life skills as we talk about them. Okay, does this look like a good list for people who are new to unschooling or homeschooling? That is this attractive enough? Is this enough marketing out here to say, okay, this looks This looks tempting.
I think we may have oversold ourselves,
Pardon?
We may have oversold ourselves.
Yeah. No, we'll get the other aspects also, the challenges also. Don't worry.
Yes, let's balance that.
Yeah. Right. Aditi is saying can be boring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not trying to so much talk about what is wrong with the schooling. Trying not to do that very consciously, because that's just another choice. Let's not say there's anything wrong with it. We can just talk about what is good with what we are trying to talk about. Yeah. Okay. On pace, I'll put that as a separate point. Okay, so I think we've got quite a handful of points out here, and pretty much covered the key reasons why uh, people come for open learning or unschooling. One of the other things that some of us come for unschooling is that in a way the child is not able to, for whatever reason, it could be social, it could be the way the school is structured or whatever, but not able to fit in. So I think that's not a bad way to look at it. Okay, if I'm not able to fit in into something which is the so-called conventional or mainstream, then let me see what else can I explore. It's almost like, let's say, alternate medicine. If I don't like this, I can always look for what else is there. So it is not that one has to, if the child is not fitting in, one has to put the child into additional pressure of extra classes and extra tuitions and extra coaching and psychiatric tests and psychologist tests and ADHD and dyslexia and so on and so forth.
That is the pressure on the child, but what about the pressure on the parents themselves?
Yes, absolutely. Pressure on the whole family.
Pressure on the whole family goes,
right.
The whistle is just taken off. There's no pressure.
Absolutely.
You're out of the cooker.
Okay, so unpressure, uncooking. Instead of pressure cooking, I'm putting it as unpressure, uncooking. Right. So that's one of the reasons. In fact, in my interaction with a lot of parents, about, I would say 50-50, 50% parents come and talk to us because the child is not thriving in that space, which is fine. The space is, with all respect, that is one way of learning. Not everybody may like it. So there is another way of learning, which is open learning. Okay, so I suggest let's move ahead to the second one. For each of these questions, I have one or maybe two slides which I've made from our thinking. Not that it has to be anything new from what you have said. Most of it would be already there. So, but since I made a slide, I'll just show it off. So, yeah, my answer to that would be so that I'm the leader. I want to lead myself rather than somebody else leading my life. So that's the way I look at it. So that's the reason I would do unschooling, or I would invite any child to do unschooling, saying, hey, you lead your life, you decide. So since I made a beautiful slide, I thought I will show that off. Okay.
But it makes sense.
Yeah.
It actually makes sense. Now, to come to think about it, there have been many times when your child is going to throw a solution to a problem for which you haven't been able to find, racking your brains for whatever reason, and suddenly your child is like, oh, this is like really simple. Why don't we try to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And he's the leader. I mean, he then leads. He leads the pack.
Yeah.
And that itself is a lot of confidence booster for a child.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so let's move to the second question. So people who have questions with respect to a particular question that we are asking, you can please shoot. So don't wait. If, for example, if you have a question with respect to why Unschooling, you can shoot the question now so that we deal with that question now. If the question pertains to the other 8 questions, other 7 questions that we have talked about, then please hang on and we will take them as we reach them. Right. So the second one is what learning child does. How do we decide on what is the curriculum or what kind of skills the child would develop? So yeah, so again, people may, especially people who have been doing it, they can share their experience, how they've gone, how or they or their children have gone ahead in terms of choosing what to learn, or if they have chosen a curriculum, how they have gone out. So please share.
So Ratnesh, I come from a toy manufacturing background, and we do a lot of skill developmental toys for children of all different age groups. So
Mm-hmm.
we've been interacting very closely with children for a very long time now, and one of the reasons also that I chose to do homeschooling because I knew we could manage it within our own purview, and toys do play a huge role in deciding a child's personality or developing certain set of skill sets, whether it may be fine motor skills or communication skills or whatever reason.
Yeah.
Is going to learn on his own through play. That's what we philosophically believe in the toy industry. Uh, but unfortunately, toys are not a core, essential necessity in most of the Indians' daily life. I mean, per capita consumption of toys is negligible in the country too. And
I don't think anybody would have said this term, per capita consumption of toys. Interesting.
although I have a research backing it up, it's
Yeah,
like
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm just enjoying this thought that okay, per capita consumption of toys. I think that should be the headline rather than everything else.
thanks a lot for that. but but yes, there are so many different toys and games currently available in the market. For example, it's a very simple game of snakes and ladder. If the family is playing together with a child, there is a lot of skill sets the child is going to learn. If you're even playing Monopoly, the skill sets of haggling, bargaining, cheating. Cheating is very, very important. The child has to learn cheating. It's not a taboo word. It's a skill set.
Absolutely, it's a life skill.
It's a life skill. So don't shy away from it.
Absolutely.
And there's no better way to do it, than toys. So nowadays, STEM toys are very much
Sure.
in the
I've Anuj, I've expanded it to toys, games. It can go
perfect.
on
Perfect. I
to
think I'll wait
actually,
for somebody else to talk now.
yeah, toys, games. It can be extended to actually playing with anything. Not just playing with what the conventional definition of toy, but
Absolutely.
play with like I think Uday is saying, learn anything and everything. I can add it to learn and play anything and everything. Yeah. Okay, Shraddha is improving their learning abilities. Shraddha, can you more elaborate? What do you mean by learning ability? And in any case, how do you improve somebody's learning ability? Okay, so maybe if you can come on mic, that might help us to understand what you are thinking, as to what are you meaning in terms of. Right. So one aspect is I think Anuj also mentioned, and we are talking about Rim Jim is also talking about the same thing, that it's a matter of choice. You can learn whatever you feel like learning. So it's anything and everything. I like that. Curiosity is the curriculum. Yeah. So whatever you are curious about, you go ahead, learn. I mean, I'm sure there will be questions. Okay, if we let the child decide and let the curiosity decide, then what about X or what about Y? Okay, Shraddha is saying I'm unable to unmute myself. Okay, let me see if I can help you with that. Okay, others, how do you people who are already doing? What are you doing? How are you doing?
Shweta says from YouTube. It's not a bad platform.
Yeah, that's more like a resource. So we'll come to the resource in the next slide. This slide is about what, not how. So I would say YouTube is how. Shraddha, I've unmuted you. Are you able just try out speaking?
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, Shraddha.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. So, here what I wanted to convey is if we improve the child's learning ability using various modalities like yoga, NLP, and neuroscience, we are building the child's capability to learn more in less time. So, by working on their concentration, on their focus, on their ability to improve their skills to grasp more in less time, which will help the child in learning more things in less time.
Okay.
So the initial days or the initial ages of the child should be spent on developing the child's focus and concentration.
Okay. Sure. Now I think we understood it a little better. Though there can be, at the same time, there can be another way of looking at it is that why do we need to learn more in less time? So that itself
Yes, and
can be a
here
school of thought.
it is about unleashing the child's potential. So, for example, I usually use this example. So, how many seeds are there in an apple? On an average, 3 to 4 seeds.
Sure.
And how many apples are there in a seed?
Sure, millions.
Infinite, So we have no idea about the possibility of expanding our life, the extent to which we can expand our lives. So each one of us have our own limitations and our strengths. So we as human beings have unlimited potential. All we need to do is unleash it by identifying various ways what works for us and what do not works for us, and then take it ahead.
Sure.
So that is what I wanted to convey in terms of improving the child's learning ability. So if the child can learn more, there will be exponential possibilities that will be available for the child. So why to keep it limited? Why not give them a big playground to explore and learn as much as they can?
Sure. Okay. Okay, so Uday is talking about learn about yourself. Okay, so that itself can be a curriculum. We have a separate slide on it about how do we work on self and social aspect, but I'll still mention, yeah. So one part of curriculum can be on self, and self itself can be a curriculum, understand my emotions, and as Shraddha was talking about my abilities, so yeah, all the self-awareness and so on. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not very sure why people are finding it difficult to unmute. You can just go ahead and just click on the mic icon and you can unmute yourself. There shouldn't be a reason to.
I believe, Ratnesh, it happens like in Zoom, there is a default setting that all the participants go unmute. So you as a host need to...
No, not at all. That is not really required. That's why I'm saying you can.
Right.
I can as a moderator can definitely mute everybody, but you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay.
I think Rimjim is finding it a little bit difficult to unmute herself. Can you help?
Sure. I can help her, definitely. Let me just do that. Meanwhile, more people, also little more. So these are some of the other things. People can little talk about how on a day-to-day, week-to-week, I'm sure there are people here in this group who would like to know how do you structure, how does the child choose, and if you are following. And there were questions related to how do you work on the so-called basic skills of maths, and some people called even science and language, or whatever you think is basic. I'm not trying to say this is my question. Somebody had posted this. So if people can little more talk about while I figure out how to, I'll unmute Rim Jim.
As I said in the beginning, all children are born geniuses. Most of the kids. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead, please. Go ahead, Anuj.
Okay. So most of the kids today have difficulties in coping up with the school curriculum, mainly because their foundation in terms of understanding the languages is very poor. So, I think for foundation, as far as learning the basic English language is concerned, phonics is a must for everybody. All children must learn English only through phonetics, because, that's the way to go.
When we speak about this curriculum or skills, for me it's been slightly confusing, and I actually follow off my kid and let her choose what she does, and I just be on the back and try to. I don't know. I've not thought about the curriculum, or I just let her do what she wants, and then I take it from there. Okay, if this is what she's interested, then I put in my, okay, I might add another value add to it, but nothing specific I've thought about. Okay, this is what I want to do, or this is what I want to put, or I have not thought in that aspect.
Right. So you are saying I let the child decide, which is similar
Yeah.
to anything and everything. It primarily. So yeah. So a lot of us follow that, which is just let the child decide what the child wants to learn. Though Anuj had a different opinion that language development is a must. So Anuj, again, there are different ways of going about it. You feel that particular way, doing through phonics is important. We have a very different experience. We have many children who have had no instruction absolutely on language, and they are absolutely perfect in their language in whichever way they should be. So there is, including my son, he has never been taught anything in any which way in terms of language. He reads as fluently and writes as fluently as anybody of any age, for that matter. So that's just what, that's the beauty of it, that we can each choose what we think is important. So if Anuj feels language is important, he chooses language is important, and he finds a way to do it. He likes phonics, so he follows phonics, while somebody else can decide differently. So that's the beauty of open learning. So all the opinions are very important.
Am I audible
Yeah,
now?
yes, Jim, now you are audible.
Yeah. Okay. So, I wanted to throw some light on, what we were discussing on a day-to-day basis. How do we go about with the day? So, my daughter, she's like 3 year old. She'll be three tonight, for that matter.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. So initially, there was a structure that I did follow with her, not in terms of any curriculum or anything. Obviously, 3 year old, you can imagine she's pretty small for that. But there was a structure to the day. But to her, it definitely looked like a very unstructured. But I always had a structure in my mind, or to go about how I would go about with my day, because obviously coming from the background and the way we have been brought up, or all that, so that weighed very heavy on me. So when I started with her, it was always a very structured plan. It's
Okay, wait, again we are jumping. The next slide is more about the next to next is
uh-huh.
more about how do I structure the day or a week
Okay.
or a month. But right now we're talking about not the structure of the day, but what does the child learn? So the curriculum, so to say. I purposefully use that word because that's where a lot of questions come in, and including they came in when people registered. Um, so people are confused. People want to know, okay, do I do this? Do I don't do this? So maybe people can ask more questions. Maybe that's a way to go about this slide, through questions. So if you have a question, I'm asking everybody, please ask that question with respect to curriculum, because there are people who are talking about extracurricular activities. Well, if you don't have a
Yeah.
curriculum, there is no extracurricular.
Yeah.
Everything is curricular.
Right, right.
Uh,
Extracurricular, of course, I'm talking about, what I did for her. So there were a few things which we used to do on a daily basis or on a weekly basis. It was basically taking her for some musical workshops, or taking her for some sports activity, or taking her for some, like a play session with kids, or nature walks, or visit to some places. So being outside, basically, most of the time.
Okay.
And that really helped, because she picked up a lot of inputs from those places, and that helped not in the sense, but that helped her to structure her own path or ways in which she wants to go. I only took her to various places, but she did choose from all those places where she wants to be and where she doesn't want to be.
Sure. Okay, so we have a more specific question. Somebody's asking, what if we follow CBSE or ICSE curriculum? So, um, can you little elaborate, Vinny? Veena, sorry. What exactly is the question? Yes, you can obviously follow any set of subjects if you want to learn subjects at home. So, as we said, but if you have a further question to it, if you are following or if you want to follow, so what's the doubt? What's the question?
Lakshmish, I have one. As I was saying earlier, see, my kid is a moody kid in kind of her mood swings are. I mean, she's about 2.5, 3, so she has lot many choices, lot many options, and
Even,
she wants.
sorry, just to pause you, even at 51, I'm very moody. So age hasn't got anything to do.
No. When I speak mood, so uh, I mean, I'm not sure I will be able to follow any curriculum. So that's why I'm saying it's better to follow her rather than
Sure.
me.
Yeah, so that is one, that is one definite way which we have already, some of us have shared already, that we just follow the child, let anything, everything. Even somebody has shared that if we are in some place, if we are traveling, whatever is available there, that becomes our curriculum. So if you go to eat samosa from the cart wala, samosa becomes your curriculum. How is it fried? Why is it like this? Why that shape? Why is the aloo stuffed in it? And so on. So anything can be a curriculum, right? Um, but I think the interesting part is um, in that kind of thing. Some parents do get that anxiety, that do I, apart from it being situation or child led, can it also have certain things weaved into it? Right. So Veena is asking, can we use CBSE? Absolutely, Veena. That is totally your choice. If you want to use a particular curriculum, whether it is CBSE, ICSE, IGCSE, IB, or any other curriculum in this whole world, uh, and if that helps you or helps your child in a certain way, please go ahead and do that. I mean, it could be either so that the child is able to give an examination later on, or it could be just that you use it as a base. So that's a choice that you have. Obviously, a lot of people don't use any of those things and just go by whatever the child is interested in. Maybe the child wants to do music all day. For them, it is fine. But some people like to mix curriculum based on any of these guidelines, and then rest is based on child. So as I said at the beginning, there is the continuum. So you can be anywhere on that continuum. Right. What more questions or more thoughts on what can the child learn? Yeah. And we will talk about how the child can learn that, as in visiting places and so on. Yeah. But still, if there's more questions on should I not, or not should I not, more on how do I do this. Nobody has asked how do we learn basic maths, basic language, because that was a common question in the questions posted. Will somebody like to ask if you have a question like that? Okay. Yeah, so we'll come to the methodology next. So, okay, let me at least share one thought on it, that people often ask me about what about the basic skills. So again, two thoughts. One is uh, it's again depends on the family and the child, whether there is a certain, whether you first of all you decide whether there is something which you will like to call as basic, and what is that basic skills that you would like to develop. It could be somebody saying life skills, somebody saying language, somebody saying basic mathematical computation, like I can go to the shop and buy stuff. Some people may say no, it should be the whole maths curriculum. Some people even include science as a basic subject. So it's really again up to you to decide as a family what you think as basic. We even say even cooking can be basic, even putting a button on your shirt is a basic skill, even finding out how do I reach from here to another city through using, let's say, Google or whatever, is a basic skill. So researching is a basic skill, talking to people is a basic skill, and getting your work done from a government department is a basic skill. So all of these can be basic skills. So you can decide whether you want to follow the conventional subjects as the basic skills, or you want to uh, follow your own list of basic skills. I guess it's left open. Yes, and the next part is, okay, so given that I've decided this is the basic skills, how do I go about doing it? So we'll come to that in just the next slide. So maybe we can move ahead. We at Aarohi, we personally go by the child leading or the child deciding. So we don't really have a curriculum. In fact, we say the whole world is your curriculum. So everything that is happening in this whole world is worth learning. It could be crochet, it could be bungee jumping, um, it could be French, it could be anything. It could be oil on canvas. So anything that is happening in this world. So we say the world is the curriculum. And the child can decide what the child wants to learn. There isn't absolutely anything which is more important or less important than the other thing. So that's how we look at it. And then within that, each child and family can decide what is basic, and then we can see how we can deal with that. Obviously, if a child has planned to give an examination, let's say a 10th standard examination, and the child chooses the subjects, then obviously those become part of the curriculum. So yeah, so that's one, that is the way we at least work at Aarohi, and let the child choose what the child wants to learn. Right. So let me move ahead. But if anybody has questions on any of the slides that we have gone by, please feel free to ask. Okay, so we have a question. If child is with special needs, may have issue with language skills. Yeah, so again, sorry, we can't get your name. Can you type your name also, because it shows iPad? So can you just type in your name? Okay. Yeah, Sharuja. So Sharuja, first of all, I think all of us have some special need or the other. We don't differentiate, saying that only some people have special needs. I guess all of us have special needs, all of us are special, and all of us in that sense are special. So there's no difference. Now you're trying to say, what if somebody is not is not able to grasp a certain language skill? So I would say that's absolutely fine. Why not live without language skills, as in the language of words you are saying, or English language? But there can be language of sign, there can be language of which isn't encompassed with love, which is touch, feel, see, emotions, and so on. There's so many languages. We
Uh,
give too much
can,
importance to
can,
the written word. Yeah. Please go ahead, Sharja.
okay, so what I mean is actually I'm an occupational therapist,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and I'm dealing with the children with special needs.
Okay.
Okay, so I have children with cerebral palsy, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, autism. Okay,
Sure.
so so what happens with these children is these children have issues with expressive language skills, so they're basically not able to communicate.
Sure.
Okay, as well they have social anxiety. So many a times what happens is parents wants to do open schooling or they want to do homeschooling. What I mean is,
Mm-hmm.
but they are not able to decide what to teach the child, how to go ahead. Now every child with autism, what I have, or every child with, like, I don't want to say that autistic child, I would say a child with the autism or child
Yeah.
with the learning disorder,
Yeah.
everybody has a special liking, as you said, that somebody likes language, somebody likes maths, somebody
Yeah.
likes dance, somebody's
Music.
great with gymnast. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what happens with them is, like, parents says, how would that feed them, how they would be independent in their life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there, like as you said, the learning can be from anything, as your previous slide said. It can be games, it can be language. So what happens is, till the age of 5 years, 6 years, or max till 10 years, I would say, you can have some academic based curriculum. Okay, but I feel they are not able to go ahead later.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your thought on that? How that time they will decide how should I go? So, like, imagine when you say math skills. Okay, so you will start with number identification, you would start with number value, then you may
Mm-hmm.
start with addition or subtraction, you may lead to multiplication, then you will go to the general application in your daily life. Okay, buying stuff or selling stuff and all. But then what's next? How that parent would decide, or how that child would decide there?
Sorry, I'm still not. I still don't think I've understood. What do you mean by what next? Meaning, suppose if what you talked about, let's say in example of maths, if a child
Yeah.
already knows that, then why is there a need of what next? Meaning, that's enough, isn't it? If for my day-to-day
Maybe
life, if
not.
I know how to add, subtract, multiply using a calculator, I can live my day-to-day life. Why would
You
I
think
need
that's
to
enough?
go? Uh, yeah, very seriously. I mean, why do I need to? What next? I would say, personally, if you ask me, my opinion, uh, whatever we learn in maths till about, let's say, third standard or maybe fourth standard is possibly enough to live life. Now, more than that is a specialization, which is
Okay.
optional, which should be, according to me, which should be optional. In fact, if you want, I had written an article, why maths, why not music, um,
Agree.
which exactly talks about this, that most of us, in terms of the amount of mathematical skills that we use, is only limited to, let's say, roughly up to fourth standard.
Okay.
Most of us don't
Okay.
really use skills beyond that. So why do we need to learn the skills which is from, let's say, fifth or sixth standard to 10th standard? Uh, if somebody
Okay.
wants to learn maths, great. Meaning, I have nothing against maths, but that doesn't mean that everybody needs to learn maths till 10th standard. Is something. Uh, yeah, I think Shraddha is also saying the same thing. So, and,
Okay.
and
Done. That
even there,
answers my
yeah,
question.
yeah. Also, even there, we somehow are very reluctant to give children tools like calculators. Somehow, we have always said that for example, we tell children you should have a basic, kit, stationary kit is what you would call, and we say you pen, pencil, eraser, calculator, measuring tape, and then people say, what, calculate? I said, yeah, why not? That's an amazing thing. I mean, anyway, me and you don't use our own mental maths. We go to a calculator and use it, which is nowadays all the time with us. So what's the big deal? Every shop
Okay.
has it, every place has it. So why are we shying away and saying that we are in the latest technology? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with learning how to do it mentally. I'm just saying, if
Higher.
somebody
Yeah.
doesn't
I
want to
got.
do it, why do we have to do it? There is no have to.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. I guess you can go to your next slide.
Sure,
That
sure.
answers my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Rimjim is saying, I agree, Rimjim, that it's more for the society to accept, it's more for people to accept that each child is different rather than saying this is, this only a good mathematical child is acceptable child. Yeah. So yeah, it's to do with, in fact, it's to do with each child. A lot of children with autism are extremely high on mathematics. So it really depends on child to child. Yeah.
Agree.
Okay. Right. Some people have little thoughts about, hey, how will I do it? In the sense of, how will I get all the resources and people and support and exposure, blah blah. So I don't know if, how do you do it? So again, people can share. Somebody had already started talking about YouTube as the resource, so let me put that YouTube as the number one, or / Google. Nowadays that's brought the world to your feet. Right. So various websites like Khan Academy, and I think Anu just posted education in town. Right? So I'm just putting word as portals and online courses. So all the whole online world itself is a huge resource. Okay. So Ravi has a couple of questions. So Ravi, when you're saying how a parent without any training can do all this, so my question is, but the parent isn't really doing anything here. Is the child who is doing? So, uh, for example, if a child says, I want to learn how to, let's say, do origami, and let us say he says, okay, I will choose YouTube to learn origami, in which case the YouTube is the teacher, or the people on the YouTube who have, then there are hundreds and millions of them who have done lovely origami and put that on YouTube. So the child learns from that teacher who is behind making that YouTube video. So I don't need to do anything. I just need to maybe provide the child with a gadget which has YouTube access. So when you're asking how a parent without any training can do all this, if you have something more specific, maybe you can come on mic. And when you realize that the child is not teacher dependent, but the child becomes resource dependent, or the child chooses the resource, then the child also does not need so much of parent time. In fact, only if the child needs some help, the child can come to you, okay, I am not able to understand what this guy is saying, or I'm not able to figure this out on my own. And so on, or I need to meet somebody with that kind of like how Uday's pointing out, with this, in this field of interest. Like just today, one girl was asking, I want to learn French. I said, great, so how do you want to learn? And she already has figured out that there's an app called Duolingo, and she will Duolingo, and she will learn from that. And all I could say was, okay, so if you need somebody to talk to in French, I know a few friends and I can put you on to them. So that's my role. That is just an offer. She has not even said that, no, please get me those people. Okay, so Anupama is saying, is there any curriculum every year? So Anupama, if you're asking about my children, no, we never, not just my children, the children in Aarohi, they don't have any curriculum. They decide what they want to learn. So there is no curriculum, there is no training we give. We ask them what you want to learn. Once they say this is what you want to learn, we ask them, how would you learn to learn? So we ask them this question, what I'm asking you guys, and they may say, I'll go to YouTube, or I'll ask my friend, or you teach me, or they'll say, I'll read a book, or they'll say, I go and attend a class, online class, or I'll go for a workshop in Bangalore or Chennai, and so on. So they will decide what resource they are going to use. Yeah, and that is how both, at least my children and so many children in Aarohi, they all are learning that way. A lot of time I just need to see if they need any resource where they need an adult help. Okay, she's asking for 3 years. For 3 years, if I were you, I will just do nothing. You don't have to bother. 3-year-olds will raid the house and learn from everything and anything. I see Jim smiling for that. Yeah, they don't need anything.
In fact, they are the best teachers to learn from, Anupama.
Absolutely. They are the best homeschooling guides. If ever you want to learn homeschooling, let a 3-year-old free or a 4-year-old free.
Absolutely.
They will tell you how to do unschooling or homeschooling. They'll just spend their whole day doing something or the other. They will harass you for resources. Mama, I need this now. Daddy, I need this now. Daddy, take me there. Mama, take me there. Mama, show me this. Daddy, show me this. I also want to do this. I also want to do that. They are the most voracious.
So addressing Ravi's question, is how can parent find so much time during the day to keep the child engaged?
Yeah.
I think that's the problem is the other way around. If you let a child loose in the house, it'll be difficult for you to find time for your child. The child will not have time for you. Hello.
That's very well put. Yeah. Okay, so let the child loose. Okay. So I'm delaying the questions regarding NIOS and all because we have a separate section on NIOS. So let's not answer that right now. Okay. So yeah, Anupama, I think first of all, there's nothing, according to me, there's nothing like speech delay. Speech delay is when we are comparing that child with another child and saying, oh, that child is speaking at this age, my child is not speaking or not speaking enough. Okay. That is where the delay is. If one of the big benefits of homeschooling we talked about in the first slide itself is that it lets the child learn at his or her pace. So let your child learn at his or her own pace. In the environment, just make the environment rich. Let there be a lot of spoken word. Let there be a lot of words all around. They can be story books. They could be storytelling, and that that should be enough. So if I can put it, we can make the environment. Although that is again the next question, but we can still say it.
Whoever, I missed the person who asked the question, about the speech delay. I mean, thank your lucky stars that, the child is a little late on speaking because he's going to cover up, and he's going to cover up in a shorter period of time. He's going to talk so much that, at times you'll be like, okay, fine, when do I talk? Is there any time for me now to talk? Because this is my personal experience. I have a 10-year-old boy, and then I have a set of twin boys, again, all 3 boys. And the youngest of them, he started speaking like very, very late in his life. And there was too much of peer pressure for us to, go to a therapist and stuff like that. But me and my wife, we had just put our foot down. Okay, nothing doing. Let him take his time to start talking. And today, after 3 years, oh my God.
Difficult to quieten him. Yes, I'm totally with Anuj. Meaning we have too much of societal benchmarks that are crushing us, and there is no need of putting them onto the child. I'm not saying we don't do anything about it. So yes, there are a lot of suggestions coming in: storytelling, reading, talking, chit-chatting, going on lots of trips, walks, going to the bhajiwala and chatting up with the bhajiwala and so on. As much, whatever. That's how we make the environment rich. But we don't need to bother about it. If all of this is done with a lot of worry inside the tummy, then it's a problem. But if there is no worry, if there is just a free flow of words all around, then I'm sure anything can be picked up by any child, provided the child wants to pick it up. Okay, so Suresh has an interesting question. Can we take that, Suresh, the 10th exam question when we come to the exams, right? So we'll take that question. Okay, so I think some of you had joined in a little late. We have divided this whole session into 8 sections. So we'll come to most of the questions relating to social needs and examination needs in just a little while. Right now, we're just talking about what kind of resources can be. And people were mentioning in the previous slide that travel can be a beautiful, and travel need not be to another city. Travel just to the shop outside, to I would say a shopping street, or just a street with lots of things happening. There's a welder, there's a carpenter, there's a milkman, everyone is like a classroom or a workshop, live workshop. You don't have to take the child to anywhere else. So much can be learned. So the road next to your house, which is full of these little things, each individual out there, each person out there is a resource person. Somehow we tend to think that, oh, if I have to expose him to science, I have to take him to a workshop or something like that. But that is one way of thinking. Nothing wrong with taking the child for workshop, but there's so much in the environment already. You don't have to take the child to a museums only. Every house is a museum, every shop is a museum, every person is a living library. We call it human library. And there is so much to learn from anybody and everybody that you meet in and around your life. It could be relatives, friends, people whom you deal with, work with, and so on. So Haripriya is saying, I love to be indoors. Great, then there is no problem. The indoors is full of resources. Your YouTube is full of anything and everything you want to talk about. How does a welding machine work? You can ask a welder, or you can just go on to the YouTube. And people are saying, hey, what about screen time? I think Sony is asking about screen time. Well, I don't know. You have to decide. If that is an issue, I don't know. But today's world is very, very different. While living yesterday, I think the word screen time is not just about how much I'm in front of the screen, but what am I doing in front of the screen? If I'm using it as another resource and go ahead and do something with what I see on the screen, then it makes sense. If the screen is pretty much driving, making me passive, then possibly there is a issue, though that itself can be discussed in more detail or understood in more detail. But I personally think the screen time is a very broad term. You have to decide what we are using the screen or what we are using the gadget. Okay, and I'm just trying to skim through the chats.
So at our house, screen time is very premium. The kids have to earn it.
Okay.
So that's a very good leverage for children. To bargain and haggle with children. Okay, you have to do your daily chores on your own. On your screen time, I don't have any issues. You have to earn it, and that's also developing a lot of skills. You are indirectly encouraging them to do the house chores. You are giving them the thought of what actually the life has got in store for them. Nothing is free in life. At least the premium commodities are not free.
Sure. Right. So again, as Anuj is saying, you can create your own, so to say, systems or own checks and balances on things, and we will talk about that also.
Hi, Ratnesh, Saurabh here. I have two
Yes,
questions.
Saurabh. Yeah.
Yeah. One is like whenever how to challenge the child to go to the next step.
Okay.
What like they can be interested in something, let's say solving a Rubik cube. Okay, but if they get stuck, then how to challenge them to go to the next step, figure out their own solutions, or in anything like even learning French or whatever.
Yeah. So one way to look at that, Saurabh, is that why do you want to challenge the child? In the sense, why do you want him to go to the next step? The child will go to the next step when the child wants to go to the next step. When whatever the child is doing is no more satisfying to the child and the child wants to move ahead. So I have picked Rubik's cubes at least 10 times in my life, and I've never gone beyond twisting and turning it randomly. So what would you do something to me to go to the next step? Would you do that to me, Saurabh?
Well, I believe that anything you do, like even if you're solving a Rubik cube, and if you learn, start going to the next step, that will help you in other things also.
Yeah, Saurabh, but why do I need to go to the next step in that thing? Maybe I will go in something else in the next in some other field. So maybe in some other interest or at some other point of time. That is exactly my point. Just because I've picked up a Rubik cube doesn't mean that I need to go to the next step. I think so. Personally, I would say there is no need to do that. Uh, can we just step back and let the child say, okay, now in this I want to go to the next step? And I've seen children doing that time and again. We can give in an invitation. We can say, hey, would you like to go to the next step in Rubik cube? The child says, yeah, that's okay. But if the child says no, then that's also okay.
And
Yeah.
the most important thing is, that when you are doing Rubik's Cube and if a child is not able to crack it, maybe this is not the time. Maybe the child takes another 6 months. But if the child is able to, say, do only one phase of it, that's rewarding enough for a child to go to the next level. You will not have to push the child. The child will automatically, say, I want to now do the next level.
Yeah.
Right. Because what happens in school, we have fixed next steps defined. Like in class 3, they will study max this level. In class 4, he will study max this level. So this is one extreme side of it.
Okay.
And in I believe in an open learning environment, there is nothing to push him to the next step unless he himself is ready to do it or he wants to do it.
But that's the
But
whole
but
idea, isn't it?
but thing somewhere lies between, like I will things
Well,
normally
let
happens
let me put it
somewhere
this
in
way.
between,
Would
and
you
like
like to be pushed
most
to
of
the
the
next
time the
level?
kids do it again.
Yeah, I'm
So
asking you, Saurabh, just pause. Would you like to be pushed to the next level in your today's life, in anything that you do, whether you do work at home or work at your office or wherever, whatever you do in your life? Would you like others to push you to the next level in whichever form? Or would you like to be to when you decide, okay, I want to learn more, I want to go to a class, or I want to do a workshop, or I want to go on a YouTube video, or I want to just try it on my own? How would you want it at this age?
so I will not
Sorry, your voice is
want
breaking.
somebody to forcefully make me do something
Your
next
voice is
step
breaking,
or
Saurabh. We are not
start
able to hear
judging
you
me
clearly.
every time. Hello, am I now clear? Hello,
Yeah, better.
hello.
Yeah, better.
That- Yeah. So I was saying that I will not like somebody to forcefully tell me or set me some expectations to go to the next step, but I will prefer some kind of a mentor or guiding force to help me
No, Saurabh, we are
whenever
not
I'm
able to
stuck
hear you. Yeah, Saurabh. So if you're saying that,
or really
yeah,
not able to come
uh,
out.
Saurabh, your voice is breaking. So what you're saying, Saurabh, yeah, we can always mentor the child. We can always show that there is a next step. Would you like to take it? Would you like to go deeper? I can show you, guide you to resources, to books, to websites, to people. But finally, it's the child's choice when the child wants to take the next step. Much like it is Saurav's choice if he wants to go to the next step. So if Anupama is saying that my child is good at drawing, I can say, okay, do you want to take it to the next level? Do you want to whatever take up? There are online courses on drawing, for example, draw like Picasso or whatever. So would you like to learn how Picasso used to draw? So here is the course. Would you like to do it? I can sit with you and do it. But finally, it's the child who needs to decide: do I want to go to the next level or not? why do we need to have a system of encouraging the child to go? We don't really need to. That's for the child to decide, just like we would like to decide.
I think that's the beauty of this open learning. This is Naina.
Yes,
So
Naina.
I feel the whole system, we are encouraging a more of an intrinsic motivation of a child rather than all the time, pushing them with a reward system or driving them quite extrinsically. So I think that's the beauty, what I understand as an intrinsic motivation.
Sure.
I want to do it because I want to do it. There is nothing external to it.
Yeah. So Anupama, when you say we can just follow the decision of them, yes, but the decision is always either preceded or followed or includes a lot of discussion. That is the beauty of unschooling or open learning, is that we discuss why we are not doing something, why we are doing something, why we want to leave this and not go further ahead, or why. So for example, my son started learning guitar, and then he said, no, I don't want to learn guitar. So the inside of me for a few seconds said, oh yeah, you should go to the next level. Guitar is so much fun, this, that. But then we said, okay. If you don't want to learn guitar, what else do you want to learn? And at the same time, what made you leave guitar? Let's understand it at least. We don't need to say that's wrong or right or good or bad, but we can understand it. So it is not just about decision. It's a lot of discussion, a lot of understanding, a lot of reflection that goes into what am I choosing, why am I leaving something, why am I not doing it, and so on. Right? And that's the beauty. So the idea is so yes, Deepthi, we can expose them to a lot of things. In fact, in today's world, you don't have to expose them. They are super exposed in any case. But yes, we can bring in a lot of exposures to them in terms of resources to them or people to them or take them to different places. So yes, we can do that, or expose them through internet to different things. But finally, it is for them to decide if that is how you want it. But if you are very particular, no, this at least you should do in this way, or this you should learn, that's also fine. That's again a family decision. Okay, so we'll come to the social exposure in just a little while. Okay, Anupama, so I when you say what kind of schedule learning, I think some of the parents already mentioned that it is something, again, you have to decide how you want to go. I don't know what these words practical learning, experimental learning, experiential learning mean. To me, however the child is wanting to learn is worth learning. I want to learn using a book. I want to learn by doing. I want to learn by watching. I want to learn by exploring or experimenting, or I want to go to actually doing a live project. All of these are just different ways of learning. For one thing, my child may choose very experiential. The another way, the child may choose very theoretical way of learning. Aren't those two absolutely fine? So one way of learning is not better than another way of learning. Perhaps the learning chosen by the child is what is perhaps the interesting way to the child, and I would let the child again lead. But again, it is a choice that you have. If you think no, it should be learned in a certain way and you want to bring in that exposure, that's a choice that you have. But personally, I would not like to kind of create a kind of that okay, only this way we need to learn. Yeah, so it's she's asking, is this enough? I would say, I don't know what is enough. The child has to answer this question. You have to ask this question: is it enough? Is it too much? Is it less? It depends on the child. If the child is ready to do whatever you are showing to the child, great. If the child wants to drive it,
the reason why you should do homeschooling is to stop worrying about the child.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, your child was well off in the school itself, because then at least the school is worrying about them.
I think that's important. Yeah.
Hi, Ratnesh. I have one more question.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I've observed is that child learn a lot with by his peers and like with whoever group of friends he's playing with. So,
Yes.
so if they do some activity in a group, and few kids may be better, few kids may be on the slower side, but the kind of learning which happens in this kind of environment is a lot more than anywhere else. So
Okay.
how we can have that and I was looking for a resource for that.
Sorry, I didn't get resource for, as in, are you looking for how I can give?
Like if because in school they come across kids and somehow they may or may not be learning from them,
Mm-hmm.
but mostly kids learns from each other.
No, 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 no. Please don't put that mostly in front of it. It almost makes it sound like that's the only way children learn. Or let's just say one way one child may learn is with others. One way one child may learn is by himself or using other resources. So these are just different ways, and the same child for one learning may want to learn it with others, and for
Yeah,
some
yeah,
other
right,
learning may
right.
want to learn just by himself. Uh, so there is no one specific way. If a child, for example, is wanting a group to learn something, then there are many ways in which you can find a group. You may find a workshop or a class or a group that does it, and the child can join them either formally, or informally. So, or you can if you are in a city, you can connect with other homeschoolers or unschoolers in that city and find out if there are other people learning the same thing, and you can learn together. The other interesting thing about learning together is that we think that a child of 5 has to learn with another child of 5, but please realize a child of 5 learning with a child of 85, I'm using the word child of 85, can be amazing. So a child and a grandparent sitting together trying to make a Lego thing is far more exciting
I was
than
going to give
necessarily
that
5 and 5-year-old.
I was going to give that example because my father and the whole three generations that we live together, as I said, we are in toy manufacturing. So my father has been a mechano hobbyist, which is a construction toy like Lego for almost 60 years now. So, they are like constructing the whole time. I have to, actually tell my father, okay, fine, now can I get some time with
Yes. So let's not, when we are thinking of peer learning, when what, or group learning or collaborative learning, again, there are many terms. These terms don't necessarily mean that there has to be only a same age children, much like how it happens in a classroom where all children are of the same age. But in a home or in a community or in a neighborhood, there can be so many people. I'm sure the child can play and do and explore and experiment and build with so many different people, right? Which is where we talk about also about concepts like internships and stuff like that, because the child can just go and learn with somebody who is already doing it at a professional level. Let's say my child likes baking, I can go to a baker and the child can learn with him, and that's also collaborative learning. So when we are thinking of group learning, peer learning, please don't restrict the children to only children of his or her age. It could be any child or any adult from 0 to whatever 99, let's say. So that's why when people say, hey, what age people can come to Aarohi, I say 0 to 99, because all are children in that sense, or are learners, if you want to define it in that way. Okay, so we'll come to also the question about how do children feel when they interact with school-going children. Let's move ahead. Yeah, this has been some of the key questions have been about exams, boards, right? Yeah, anybody wants to ask about this? There were some questions already. So one of the question was that if the child has to give examination later on, should we start early? Can the child make up at a later time? Well, again, there is both the approaches are available. There have been many cases where the children in just a small span of time has made up for all the syllabus that's required to crack an examination. See, because examination is not the sum total of what you have learned in your life. It is a particular, let's say, syllabus that you need to crack. And once you know the syllabus, you know what to learn to be able to crack it. So it is not necessary. Again, different school of thoughts are there. People say that for boards like NIOS and state boards, you can easily make up in 1 year or let's say 2 years. So you can start around 13, 14, 15 and crack it around there, that age. Some people think, for example, for boards like IGCSE, which is more concept based than actually knowledge based, you may require to start much earlier. But again, these are just personal thought. It really depends on the child. And also, for what purpose are you giving the examination? It all depends on that. If I'm giving the examination just to have the marks or just to cross that whatever step, then yeah, why spend too much time on it? If you're giving the examination so that it can post you to a next good college, which means you need to score high, obviously then the investment has to be of time that much more. So you may need to start earlier. So all that depends on what the child wants to give the exams for. Yeah, I hope I've answered the question. Was somebody had asked this question as to when do we start if I want to give an examination. Yeah, but we have seen children who want to, for example, give NIOS, being able to do it in 1 year, 1.5 year, the complete syllabus, depending on how many hours in a day they are ready to. Right. So more questions related to exams, boards, college, and yes, careers. A lot of people were asking, what kind of jobs or what kind of work will my child do? So is there anybody in this group who has that question and somebody would like to answer it?
Oh, I don't want my child to look for a job. I want my child to create jobs.
Yeah, so that's one answer. You can always think outside the jobs. Right.
Ratnesh, I have one question here. Basically, the kids would be wavering, right? In terms of their interests or in terms of their expectations. They would have at different stages of their life, they will have different opinions, different interests and all.
Sure.
I mean, I don't mind in encouraging whatever and going ahead. At what point, till what point should I keep on encouraging? Or is it okay?
Maybe 50 years? 35
that's what,
years?
But then, okay, but then there's something which comes into the picture, right?
No, jokes aside, what I meant was that it's in a way one would do open learning for the very reason that I don't think by 13, 14, 15, 16 people should start deciding what's their career.
No, I'm not speaking
more
about
time to explore and understand what is it that kicks inside them. So what I'm trying to say is that we need to be more patient and let them get the hook that they are looking for. But when that hook will come is not something me and you can predict. And there's no need to predict.
Okay. No, I will put it in a better way, I think.
Okay, sure.
For example, I would take an example of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Even at 35, I don't know why am I doing this. So, I mean,
absolutely.
Okay, I have been pushed to do this, so I'm doing it. But I wouldn't want that to do with my kids. So I am trying to explore this open schooling as an option.
Right.
I don't know, even at 35. But then the issue of supporting, till what time should I support? I mean,
till
one could be
you can support. No, okay, so jokes apart, yeah, I mean, see, that's exactly what I'm saying. So there are two different things. One is one aspect is when will the child find what interests the child so that the child can convert that interest into, let's say, a career of any kind, whether it's self-employed or a job that's immaterial. Right. So now again, there is no fixed answer to it. When will the child? But what I have seen is when we give them this kind of letting them loose and getting them to explore different things, as they grow little older, as they grow past into their older teen years, they start getting a better idea about what they want to do. Maybe till by about 17, 18, 20, 25. So I would say somewhere between 15 to 25, maybe up to 30 is when they start, obviously because they are now so aware of themselves, and because they have invested their energies into not just studying some subjects but actually exploring a lot of different things. They start getting to understand, become self-aware, and hence start choosing what they want to do. So this is from the child's side. Given that freedom, the child is actually able to make the choice in a better way. From a parent side, my personal opinion is I can support the child in letting the child find what he or she wants to find till whenever I can support. So I will tell my daughter's example. My daughter is now 21. She has not given any examination in her life, no certification, nothing. And she keeps doing different things. Right now she's working on a small business. She has started a small entrepreneurial initiative, but that's only recent. And I keep telling, tomorrow if you want to close this and move to something else, please feel free. And I keep telling her that I can support you till whenever I can support you. Simple. When I can't support you, I can't support. But from your side, your learning continues. People are in college till 24, 25. So at least I can say, at least till 24, 25, the minimum I can fund your explorations. Because your exploration is same as somebody else going to college. And the only difference is here, you are deciding, you are enjoying, and you are saying till when I want to do this. You don't have to sign up for the life. And this gives her a lot of space to actually explore and seriously get into stuff that she wants to do. But at this age, having been unschooled for so many years, she's able to take the decisions in a more, you can say, understanding way rather than in just a way of copying others. And to me, that is far more rewarding than the whole thing about, okay, have I got a great job or not? So that's the way I would look at it. But yes, frankly, there is no one answer to that. As you rightly said, even after the whole education system, we may not know why we are doing what we are doing. Yeah. So there is no answer to that. Even the so-called conventional or mainstream education cannot answer that. It can give you a job. It need not put you what you want to do in life.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think I've got what I
Ratnesh, I'm really jealous of your daughter. Yeah, it's a perfect thing to do. Makes sense.
Yeah. Right. And I think somebody is mentioning about interest, apprenticeship, internships. Yes, let me put that down. Those are amazing because then they get to work with people who are already in the professional field. So apprenticeship and internships are quite amazing. And we have children as young as 10, 11, 12, 13 doing internships, and they thoroughly enjoy that. Sorry, yeah, somebody was asking a question.
Yeah, Ratnesh, it's me. So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
In the sense, how did you make the decision of unschooling for your kids? And I think you started early.
Sorry, your voice is breaking. So you're asking, how did I take a decision? I think we've already talked about why homeschooling or unschooling. So for that reason, we took the decision that we thought we want the children to lead their life, not some curriculum or some syllabus to lead their life. And that's it. After that, it has just been a journey of learning. More than them learning, I think we learning. Sorry, I think I got logged out of the meeting. Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Right. Thank you. Yeah. Somebody else had typed out a question. Sorry, I have now lost out on the chat because I got logged out. Something to do with, yeah, somebody was asking that in 5th standard can we put the child back into school. So that's very so something, let me tell you something very comforting. There's so many children who have been to Aarohi who after a certain standard wanted to join back, as in their parents wanted the child to join back into the school. So children who have joined the school at 3rd standard, 4th standard, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, all standards. So it's let me put it this way, it's actually it's a cakewalk in today's world because there's so many schools, they are more than happy to have another child. So in today's world, it's no more as the schools demanding, it's more to do with the schools welcoming.
Money that flows in.
Yeah, maybe money or the numbers or whatever they are looking for, right? So Veena, if you're looking at the child joining back into a school at a certain level, please don't worry at all. Enjoy till then, and whenever you want to join, you will find one or the other school. What may happen is that by the time the child may not want to go back to the school. That's a different thing. So the opposition may not come from the schools, the opposition may come from the child. Okay, but let's come back to more questions on exams, boards, college, and careers. Yeah, somebody had also asked that is it possible to get jobs without degrees? So anybody wants to answer that? People who are in recruiting, what do you think about it? I don't know who all are in a post where you recruit people. What do you think? Do you look for degrees? Do you look for people with skills? How do you recruit?
I look for people with skills always. There are tons of articles, from Google and Apple and all these big tech companies. In fact, Bangalore is a place to be, if you are in technology. It's a very interesting, figures that how Ivy League colleges who are specializing in IT courses are losing their charm over the period of time because the courses are taking too long for a child to complete or a student to complete. And by the time they complete the particular, technology is obsolete, and they find, again, having to start again from scratch after joining the company as a trainee.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And somebody else is, people are mentioning in chat, absolutely. There's so many companies now, they're just not bothered about your degrees. So it's becoming easier and easier, and in fact, more relevant for people. And when companies see somebody is unschooled and they have come up with this level on their own, they even value you more, simply because they know you have put in the effort. It's not some quick way of getting marks that is shining on your resume. Rather, it's all your effort that is going in your, let's say, portfolio which you are showing. So I think not just self-employment, though a lot of unschoolers tend to choose self-employment, like how Anuj was mentioning, why do a job? But that is one way. But even if you want to do job, there are more than enough companies today who would love to take an unschooler on. So I don't think that's a issue anymore. Maybe it was 10 years back, maybe, I don't know. But today, in today's world, maybe leaving the government jobs and other jobs where you have to have a degree like medical or lawyer or something like that. Other than that, it's all very open.
In fact, NIOS has got, a different stream. I just have to look it up, where they are also encouraging already self-employed or, people who are older in their lifespan to take up online courses and, develop the skill sets.
Right. They've started vocational courses. Yeah.
And that too by qualified IIM Bangalore or IIM Ahmedabad faculties. Who wants to go to the school or colleges anymore?
Right. And you have the best of the universities offering you free online courses on all the possible topics that you can think of. So even that is, with the best of the professors in the best of from the world. So you have everything inside your home. right? Okay, somebody's asking me all the videos of all the things I've done with all the children here. Well, you have to just look outside the window, and whatever you see outside is a video of what's happening in life, isn't it? Everything that's happening in life is what the children are being exposed to, and out of that they are choosing what they want to learn, do, explore, and spend time on. So you don't need a video, you don't need Windows 10, you just need your house window to look out and you see everything that's happening. I don't need to share any window because there is no one specific thing or a set of specific things that we have done. And if what I'm saying you don't agree with me as if I'm hiding some secrets, you're welcome to visit Aarohi and see for yourself and live here maybe for a week, and then you see how children are just doing things, uh, so many things. They're just doing it because they want to do it, not because we want to do that. Let me put this slide here, if this makes sense to you. Right? That's the slogan. It's not the skill, it's not the will, but when it's the hill you love to climb. Yeah. So I'm quite surprised. Many people don't have questions about exams. That's in a way is the good news. Okay, you need that slogan typed out. Okay, I'll do that. I'll send you the presentation, so don't worry, and you can look it up. Right. So let's talk about social skills, self skills, life skills. Some people think that homeschoolers or unschoolers miss out on social skills. So those kind of concerns. So will people like to share, people who are homeschooling, unschooling, what do they think about, especially about social skills? That's the worry I hear a lot from new homeschoolers or unschoolers.
Have a second child, it will solve most of your problems.
Yeah, that is one. Okay. But even if you have just one child, what else? So have a second child. I'll put that down. And you don't have to have your own second child. You can get children to come into your home. So invite. Right? Invite people. More thoughts?
But Ratnesh, school-going kids are always busy with their
Oh,
extracurricular
yeah. So then
activities in the evening.
so then read my
No,
next line.
okay, because there's yeah. Okay, I
Yeah,
just wait.
you're again just thinking in terms of the children need just children. Well, they need children. I'm not denying that. But they will find children, let's say in the evening when the others come back from school. But during the daytime, they can play with grandparents, neighbors, aunties, the carpenter down the road, and so on. Right. And again, not each child wants so much of social interaction. Each child is very different. Each one of us is different. Somebody just mentioned in the chat window that I am an introvert kind. I don't want to go out of the house. So there you go. Here's a parent who is an introvert. So why does everybody need to be one social champion, some super outgoing person? We don't need everybody to be like that.
Ratnesh, this social skill angle to the whole homeschooling thing is not meant for countries like India. It's meant for countries like, a neighbor is an alien to you. In India, I mean, with the kind of population we have, I don't think any child is going to be, left behind socially. I'm 100% sure that's never going to happen.
Yeah, and Suresh, to answer your question, please don't make your child an extrovert. Let him be an introvert. Let him be what he is. You don't have to make him into anything. There are millions and millions and millions of people who are not extroverts, who are introverts, who just like to be with themselves, and there's nothing wrong with wanting to just be with yourself. There's nothing wrong in not having some amazing party skills where you go and just talk and you relate to people. And also, people, if at some stage the child thinks for the child's own interest or own professional needs, the child wants to develop those skills, the child at that age will develop. Not everything has to be developed when you are a kid or when you are 15 years old or 20 years old. We can leave something for little later years also. So please leave it to the child. There's absolutely no need for the child to become anything other than what the child is. So again, to me, the big misconception about social skills is that everybody needs to be one super outgoing, super friend maker and blah, 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 blah. Absolutely not true. Right? In fact, even school is not necessarily a very social place, because the children may not get even time to talk to their own friends, or in fact, they may even end up getting, let's call it, bullied or teased and so on and so forth. So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. That's also part of life. So, and
Yes.
not that will not happen in the evening when the child goes down to play. But again, the point is that each child is very different, and there is no need to socially, artificially expose him or create a certain personality or persona.
Yeah, Ratnesh, I just want to share an experience. My kid is about 3 years old. So I think uh, since you have raised about social skills, I think we highly rate social skills on, or we are giving higher importance to this, I feel.
Yes, yes.
We just visited a ice cream shop. I and my kid and my wife were eating an ice cream. There was some stranger who was sitting, and he was just finished his eating and he was leaving, and my kid was just bye waving off to him. We were surprised the way she was just. I mean, I think that's if the feature is there or a personality is there, it comes automatically to the kids. I think we don't need to imbibe anything, I feel.
Yeah, yeah. True. We have only. It's like saying that I can judge a book by reading a page. So what the child is now is just a page in his life. He will or she will evolve into many forms, um, and let it happen that way. Um, so yeah. So as people are saying, you can learn from the maid, you can learn from the neighbors, you can learn from grandparents. And so on. We can learn from anybody, and not just social skills, a lot of self skills, how the child learns how to be in life, as a lot of you mentioned that the child is actually in the real world, and real world is full of uh, of, of skills which are required for the real world. So that's the big advantage of being a homeschooler or unschooler. Okay, but any more questions on this? Okay, so I realize that we are way beyond our. We are scheduled 9 to 10:30, but I guess everybody's okay if you want to extend the time and talk more. I'm hoping. If obviously anybody needs to log out because you planned something else or just feeling very sleepy, please do that, and you can also catch up. I'll be posting the recording, so but we can continue a little more time. Talking about this. So let's get back to social skills and self skills. So what life skills? Any questions on that? Personally, I think it's actually a myth that there is that unschoolers or homeschoolers are do not get the kind of social exposure they need. And also, as somebody said, you can get into if your city has more children who are unschooling, homeschooling, you can invite them, you can go them, have get-togethers. You can join, you can go to communities, you can come for Aarohi, let's say for a week and stay here, everybody, the whole family, and that can be an exposure. You can like that. There's so many places in the country where you can where we can visit different people. And in the same way, when the beauty of real world is that the child will meet a lot of problems, and every problem becomes an opportunity to learn.
Ratnesh, thanks for the invite. Count me in.
Yes. I hope I'm able to count everybody. And please come, please stay.
Yeah.
That is precisely why we have left it very, very open. You can come to Aarohi whenever you want, how much time you want to spend here. There are people who have used Aarohi like once in 2-3 months, 1 month at a go, 1 week every few months, however, few days. You decide. Absolutely.
Ratnesh Haripriya here.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure if my question is going to make sense because it's very fumbled up in my head. But I think it comes from the belief that since I was schooled, the thought that meeting one set of people every day, exposed to the same environment, gives you relationships for life. Kind of, and in homeschooling or an unschooling, the environment is different every day. So how does that work for the child? Because people in my life today are the ones who I have met uh, for years together in school. So that part is something that I need more clarity on.
Uh, okay, so let me first say, have I understood the question right? Are you saying that because school has the same set of people, I make friends for life? Is that what you're talking about?
It's just yeah, not exactly, but the thought that the same set of people you meet every day kind
Mhm.
of gives you the stability, maybe. Yeah. Is that what I'm just thinking out loud? I think.
Right, but
Mm,
that's maybe just your case. In my case, I had to change school every other year, so it was exactly the opposite. No stability.
opposite.
I don't know if that
Okay.
has made me an unstable guy or a stable guy. But I think we yeah, you are right. Maybe just because we have done it in one way, we tend to give importance to it, or we want to think that the child would need that kind. But I think the child will find his own stability, his own way of, his own anchors, if I may use the visual metaphor of
Mhm.
anchor as a stability. What would give that child that anchor? I don't know. Maybe a spouse later on, maybe a friend at the age of 20, 25, or maybe a colleague, or I don't know. So again, I think we're trying to put more importance to one aspect of and the school itself, while it gave you stability, has given instability to a lot of people because they were either harassed or pressurized or went through fears, and you know what I mean. So it is not that.
Yeah, all that, all
So
that has happened too, but just that the people I met
yeah,
in school have made a difference.
but the same people can give you a bad time also in that sense, and you may
Yeah.
you don't want that kind of stability. So
Yeah,
it
at
is
all.
it is maybe just let's say it is your experience as one, and I can vouch that there are many other experiences which are totally opposite to yours, and if you just realize that they
Maybe
are just different experiences, then
yeah,
it's okay. Yeah, so
maybe the belief
there
in
you go.
itself needs to be
Yes,
questioned.
absolutely, there you are. Shraddha is an antidote to your belief. She said her friendship
Okay,
started really at 25 years.
great. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
it's
Ratish.
just a belief. Yes. Okay. Madhu is asking, is it too late to start at home? Absolutely not, Madhu. You can start at any age if you and your child think that this will help you and your child. There is no age, there is no nothing. I- In some ways, all of us, all the children will start homeschooling at, let's say, 26, 27, once they leave all the education. Post that, all the life is anyway homeschooling, isn't it? Or unschooling, then they will be at home thinking, doing what they want to do. So essentially we do unschooling from 0 to, let's say, 3 or 4 years, and then from 25 onwards or 26 onwards. Okay, yes, Deepthi, your question, what about working parents? Yeah, so that's my next slide. My role, right? Is it possible? uh, let me first ask people who are homes. Is there anybody in this group who is homeschooling and is a working parent? As in any parent who does not do any work, or more importantly, who goes to work, as in is not at home. I think that's what Deepthi means. So let us hear from them. especially if both parents are working. I'm assuming when you say working parents, you're assuming both are going to office. Yeah. Is there anybody in this group like that? Can you, if there is, can you share? Okay, maybe there isn't anybody in this group like that. Okay, so well, I have a different way of looking at it. The first thing I would ask is, I would say that's the wrong question. Okay, the question should be, what do I want to give to my child? Not about whether I'm working, not working, working both time, working what. To me, that is only a logistical aspect of life. It's 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 a question of priority. What is my priority? Is this my priority? I'm not saying you leave your job, not that way, but I'm saying that to me that's the wrong window to look out of. If you keep thinking that way, oh, both of us are working, how will we do it? Then it won't work. If you look at the just the opposite way, if you say this is what I want, now how do I work it out, I'm sure you will get your answers. So it's not a question of is it possible or is it not possible. To me, what is it that you want to make possible? If you want to make, let's say, open learning or unschooling for your child possible, I'm sure you can make it possible. It is it And how you can make it possible, obviously I can't guide you on that. That is your personal logistical scene. I obviously cannot, I mean, I can guide you one to one, so you're most free to call me, but there can be so many ways we can work out. A grandparent can take in the space, the child can go to some other place during certain hours, you can work from home at least part of the week, and so on. Okay. uh, uh, and 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 you can also consider at this age what is it that the child needs, um, and how can that be accomplished while I am at work, and so on. So I think the main thing is, what do I want? Yeah. And if this is what you want, then working, not non-working is really not important, right? Okay, Naina is a working parent. Naina, would you like to share? Are you also unschooling? And
Yeah,
yeah, okay, please, great, awesome, share.
yeah. So this is Nana. Me and my husband both are working full time, and I have a special needs child. My son is on the autism spectrum. He's 7 years. So most of the time, yeah, I work from home. So even though I'm working from home, so still the pressure remains the same. So I have to do a lot of adjustment with respect to my working hours. Okay, so doing late nights or getting up little early, so all these adjustments are there, and I am unschooling. My son is being unschooled, and being a special needs child, just because of the whole uh, you know uh, the ease at which we are able to take life, or let him live his childhood, has brought him so far from the challenges where he started. So definitely it has been quite challenging, but he is just doing so amazing. He is a non-verbal child, but you should see his confidence, his problem solving, his love for life, everything. I mean, he is the biggest inspiration for me, and I feel I'm able to still able to balance with my job and everything, just looking at him how he is living life, enjoying life. So if you need any kind of support, I'll be really happy to help you, but definitely it is doable. I won't say it is easy, but then definitely doable.
Yeah, thank you, Naina. It is not just doable; it is worth doing it, isn't it? It is because you want to do it, right? So then it is doable. I always remember, when I was in, when I was when I met my wife at that time, it was all a question of a romantic love affair, and then I would do whatever adjustments needed in the whole world to be able to meet her. Work, this, that, everything, because that was my love affair, right? Now this is your.
Satyesh, what about present? Are you still in the same boat?
Now we live together, work together, 24/7 we are together. So,
Lovely, lovely.
so it's
Yeah,
a
for
love affair.
me, it's my son. I mean,
Yes, that's exactly
yeah.
what I'm saying. It's a love affair. So now your child and his journey or her journey with you as a family is the love affair. And then it's not even an adjustment to me. It's not even challenging. It's just that is what you want.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I have found the true meaning of life. I mean,
Yeah.
because of his diagnosis or whatever.
Okay. Madhu has a question related to NIOS. Okay, Madhu, for to register, if you register now, for example, you can sit in an examination. Your child can. So there's the two things. First, you register in NIOS, and then the subsequent cycle of the examination, your child can sit in the. You register for the examination. So there are two levels of registration. First you register in NIOS, and then you register for the next set of exams. So if you asking the child is at class 8, should I register now? No need. You can directly register 1 year before the 10th examination, whichever time he's planning. So for example, if the child is planning next October, September, October, I will register now, this September, October, a year in advance. So that's how the NIS is working. Obviously, keep checking their website closer to that. If just in case they change any rules, finally, they may change any rules at any point of time. But roughly, yeah, about a year in advance. Yep. Hope that answers your question. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? Anupama has been asking. So, what can I do? What can I do? And I think, as Anuj had answered your question, just stop worrying about what can I do, and that it will be the best parent you can give to your child. A non-worrying, non-guilt parent is the best homeschooling parent. uh, rather than worrying about what else can I do. Yes, you can do lots of things, and I'm sure you are doing lots of things, and you will be able to on your own find out what all you want to do, or what all as a family the family needs. So I always say the dinner table is the best place to decide what else the family needs, what the child needs, what the parents need, what resources, where we need to go, else can we do, what is not happening, what is happening, and so on. So all you need is a good dinner table. by that I meant everybody sitting together and planning out next day, next week, next month, next year, next whatever few years, and that's what it's all about. It's a co-journey, it's a co-learning.
And definitely without any screens around.
Yes, and definitely without any screens around is what Anuj adds up. Yeah, personally, Anuj, my personal thing, I'm not so much against screens. I don't use any, apart from a laptop, I don't even have a smartphone. But I am okay with children or other adults using it if they're using it. If it's a device which helps them achieve what they want to achieve. Yeah.
Yeah,
If it is a
sorry,
distraction,
what I meant was during
the
dinner time.
distractions out. Yeah, and the distraction can be from anything. Yeah, not just a device. Yes, so keeping distraction, yes, but otherwise it's just a great resource. Yeah, so I have a little slide also on facilitation, if you want to have a look at it. um, So one of the things that I mentioned there very specifically is, to me, a facilitator or a parent facilitator is somebody who keenly observes the child, and then the dinner table reflection, using those reflections rather than judgments. So if I see the child getting up late, then I judge that the child is lazy, then that's not an observation. But if I observe that you got up at 9 o'clock today and yesterday you got up at 8:30, then that's an observation. And then I can use it for reflecting, okay, how is your sleep and what time you would like to get up and what do you want to do in the daytime and what time you want to sleep and so on. So yeah, that's one interesting um, way to think about your role. Your role is to bring the data on the table and then initiate a discussion. Okay, so we are kind of on to the last slide, which is any other challenges, issues. So basically, we are open to any other questions anybody else has. And also, if somebody is there in the group who has been doing unschooling or homeschooling and felt that these are some of the challenges that you've faced and this is how you met or took them in your flow, so you can share.
Ratnesh, rather than sharing, because most of us over here are fairly new to homeschooling, and we are still getting used to the idea of homeschooling. But yes, there is one particular question that I have for you, because you've been unschooling your children for such a long time. Is
Mm-hmm.
what is one challenge that you face?
Sorry, can you repeat it?
What is that one challenge that you as a family face for unschooling?
Well, I have not faced any challenge as a challenge. For me, for us, not just with our children, with all the children of Aarohi also, every challenge is only an opportunity in disguise. So it's a way to understand oneself, understand the child. So anything that happens is good news. Anything that happens is the beauty of life. So we want to embrace everything that is happening. Yeah, it could be anything. Let's say if the child doesn't want to take bath, let's say at a very frivolous level, or the child is still taking a lot of time, as somebody was saying, to decide what I want to do in life, and it's already 15, 16, 17. The if some people feel that's a challenge, for us it's a matter of, hey, if this child is 17, 18 and not able to understand what the child wants to do, then the child needs more understanding. So it's an opportunity to spend more time with him or her, understand her, uh, involve her in various discussions and debates, so that the child only gets the clarity for herself and so on. So I don't think there is any one challenge, or there's in that sense any challenge at all. Everything is a beautiful experience, and the idea is to get value out of that experience. And to me, that's the whole essence of unschooling, that it isn't that in a school I would uh, get something. It is in life that I get everything, including all the problems or challenges, as you said. uh, no, Deepti, it does not. Nothing makes them anxious or inferior. They themselves become anxious or inferior. All of us. Anxiousness or inferiority is a feeling we create for ourselves. And if a child is feeling inferior, isn't that a good news? Isn't that an opportunity to understand my images, my self-concept, my self-belief? If the child is anxious, isn't that an opportunity to understand my anxieties, my fears, my mm, uh, mental makes up? So all of these, the feelings of anxieties, inferiorities, jealousy, anything, uh, all of these are windows to understand oneself. And it's beautiful if a child at that stage is able to, we can kind of get the child at this age to explore those. Yeah. Okay, let me.
Ratnesh, hi.
Yeah, just one moment. There are a couple of messages in the chat. Let me just go through that. Yeah, yes, Aditi. The society might look at things in many different ways, and I think that's okay. I don't need to think how others are thinking. And they may be very scared about it, or they may be very worried about it, which could include grandparents, relatives, friends, neighbors. And sometimes it may be overwhelming to answer all of them. But I guess in any way, if you take a road less traveled, then that is a part of the deal, kind of a thing.
In fact, in my social circle, a few kids have started questioning their parents. If they are doing homeschooling, why am I being pushed to schools? What am I doing there?
Yeah. Okay. Uday is talking about randomness. Yeah. Again, some children like a lot of planning. Some children don't like a lot of planning or a routine, so to say. Some children are more random. Some children are less random. Maybe she's random at 11. Maybe by 13 she can be very different. So hang on. You can be okay and accepting her randomness, and at the same time you can keep inviting her to bring more clarity or more thoughtfulness in preparing for a week or a month or a day. Again, one of the things I can say is invite you to Aarohi to see how we invite children. And when we do our planning, one child could be planning in great detail, another child would just plan one thing and say, my planning over. And we let the child who's doing that one thing and saying planning is over, let him be there, and the child who's planning in great detail, let him be there. So both are there at their levels, because we see that it is not necessary that all child should do planning or structuring their day in the same way that other children are doing. But the invitation is there for everybody to see how they can make a sense of their life. Yeah. Sorry, somebody on the mic wanted to ask a question. Yeah.
So, okay. So again, I have this doubt on when we do this open schoolness, and when we want to say, okay, what is the line, or where is the line that I have to have? Because this is where I and my wife always argue, because I say, okay, leave it, let go, let the kid be. And then she says, you're not putting that discipline, because of which she is acting off as whatever she wants to do. And so what is it that I have to actually, where is that line, that thin line that I have to have? Or should I not even worry about that line?
I'm not sure if I've understood the question. I mean, what line are we talking about? Sorry. In the sense.
There's this, right? There's that in maybe a discipline, or not fully discipline, or I would say, okay, this is what you need to do, or this is what you should not do. That kind of an active line.
Okay, so let me put it this way. It is not a line. Let's first forget that it's about a line. It is not a line. It is about a process. We live our day doing different things. So how can I engage into that process more? How can I reflect, talk about it, discuss, debate, argue, fight over it? Right? It isn't about one specific this way, that way. It's a journey. It's all so many things happening. It's about everything. It's about how I use my language, how my actions are, how my feelings are, how my needs, wants, desires, accomplishments, satisfactions, fears, anxieties, everything together. And how do you approach it? To me, I can approach it by thinking, talking, exploring, painting it, writing down about it, and so on and so forth. I don't know if you connect with what I'm trying to say. It's not about one static way of looking at it. It's a very dynamic, whole day, whole week, whole month, whole life. It's a very rich process. Much like how we do between husband and wife. There is no thin line or line. There is so much of, let's say, process happens between us. We fight also, we convince also, we listen also, we talk also, we shut up with each other also. We do all those things, and that is what is life, isn't it? there is no line to it, that how where do you draw the line? How do I interact with my spouse? If you ask me that question, I'll say, what kind of a question is it? So it isn't about a line. It's all about these so many actions and processes that is anyway happening, as well as how it can be um, uh, further churned within the family.
Okay.
I don't know if my question, my response made any sense to you.
Yeah, it made sense. I think I got the hang of it.
Yeah,
I think
so maybe don't think in
it's more
terms of
about
yeah.
it's more about conducting discussion, speak. I mean, I think that's what it's not about. I think what I'm trying to say is, you cannot define this as wrong, this is right,
Yes,
but it's
yes.
about. Okay, so I think,
And it's all very
that
dynamic. It's a moving target. See, we and me and you are all moving individuals. You are not static. The next moment you are different. One moment you are feeling something, next moment you are feeling something else, isn't it? So you are
yeah,
not a static person. I'm not a static person. The environment around me is not static. People around. If everybody is so dynamic, how can I draw lines? The whole concept of line doesn't make any sense. There are no lines. There is only
but
action and churning and going around, and which is why everything is like in a constant churn or a constant process, and which is where it is like a constant journey. We are moving. Right? That's why I like the word journey. We are moving, and we are moving together, but still we are all moving not just in the same direction. We are moving in all kinds of different directions, up and down, 360 degrees. So maybe somebody can draw a quantum mechanic equation on an atom, but maybe not on human beings, because it is so complex. It shouldn't be defined as a line. There is no mathematical formula to define you and me.
got it. Yeah,
It's even impossible to define one person, but you put two people together, then though it's like impossibleness to the power of two.
yeah.
Yeah, I would like to add something here. Nothing
Yeah.
against, but what I feel the schools they are trying to do is making every child replica of each other. Same set of
Yes.
rules, same set of emotion, same set of routines, same set of skills. The beauty of a human being is in the diversity, right?
Yes.
Every individual is different, but we are just defying that very nature of human beings, right?
Yeah.
Just we are trying to apply the same set of rules for every child.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Very, very correctly and very importantly put, Nana. The moment we realize that that each one of us is so different, then everything else is a work in progress. Okay.
Yes.
I think we all can pause here. I think people need to leave, and it's quite a bit of time. It's more than 11. We hadn't budgeted this much time, but it was very interesting to interact with all of you. I'm just ending with this slide. Um, uh, it's something which is a joy to be with children in that sense, and work with them. Um, and which is why I think unschooling or homeschooling is so much more fun. Um, right. Somebody's asking database of unschoolers. I'm sure I don't have any databases, Suresh, but I'm sure there are many groups on Facebook and WhatsApp. So you can start at Facebook and see what groups exist there, and from there to get contacts of WhatsApp groups and stuff like that. So please use social media to your advantage. Since I'm not on social media, I may not be able to guide. I'm not on Facebook nor on WhatsApp. But yeah, I know there are a lot of groups in Mumbai. Right. So thank you, everybody. And if you have more questions, please feel free to connect with me. Most of you have my email address. I will once again type it down if you need it. Um, or you can just look up the Aarohi website.
Thank you so much for the privilege.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank
It
you.
was really, really wonderful.